The Chicago Sun-Times continues to evolve with our digitally savvy customers, and as a result, we have had to restructure the way we manage multimedia, including photography, across the network. In May 2013, the Chicago Sun-Times fired its entire staff of full-time photographers with intent to shift its focus towards online video content. The National Newspaper Guild released a statement saying that 28 employees lost their jobs as a result of this move. The publication will now use freelance photographers and reporters to shoot photos and videos, using iPhones as an option over an actual camera. Was it ethical for the Chicago Sun-Times to lay off their photographers and replace them with freelance reporters and photographers equipped with iPhones? To further investigate and answer our question, we will be using the ethical decision-making model developed by Ralph B. Potter, the Potter Box, which includes steps, facts, values, principles, and loyalties. By using the Potter Box, we will show that the layoffs of full-time staff photographers at the Chicago Sun-Times was unethical despite increase in multimedia, higher interest in stories, the affordability of freelance staff, and budget cuts. Professional photojournalists are key to reporting visually. Facts. The morally relevant facts and specifics pertaining to the situation must be listed and reviewed without bias. The Chicago Sun-Times laid off its entire staff of photographers and plans to use freelance photographers and reporters to shoot photos and video. The newspaper has been hard hit by the technological shift that has caused more people to rely on their personal computers and mobile devices to stay informed. The Chicago Newspaper Guild maintains that the layoffs violated labor laws. No photographer at the Sun-Times was spared, not even John H. White, a longtime staffer who won a Pulitzer Prize for the paper in 1982. They did it illegally, said former Sun-Times staff photographer Scott Stewart. There was no union representation when they let us go. The photojournalists were told prior to the meeting that announced their layoffs that they would not be losing their jobs. The meeting lasted no longer than 20 minutes, leaving little explanation for the job loss, which was for many the end of an era in their careers. The Sun-Times has been training reporters to use their iPhones to take photos. Photography in publications is what catches the eye of the reader at first. Quality photo can draw attention to an important news story. Quality photojournalism goes down in history as a way to remember the past, the good and the bad. Equipment knowledge, technical skill, and film knowledge was required for full-time photography staff to know. Freelance reporters given iPhones will receive training on how to use iPhones and other smartphone cameras, but it has not been said that they will receive photography or film training. Reporters and freelancers who are expected to take photo and video are likely to lack the same knowledge and photojournalism ethics that professional photojournalists possess. Freelance reporters turned photojournalists do not require contracts and are cheaper to keep on staff. Those who are not seasoned photojournalists, but instead reporters carrying smartphones, are likely to run into problems regarding being granted permission to enter the scene of a crime or important news site without a contract or press pass. They lack the connections, experience, and credibility that a seasoned photojournalist would have. Values. What is valued or cherished more, and what is invested as important during the decision-making process? According to the National Press Photographer Association Code of Ethics, photojournalists value their viewers, subjects, the truth, and their profession. These values are exemplified by the statements made by these photojournalists after losing their jobs. 2 months after the layoffs, some of the photojournalists from the Chicago Sun-Times held a public protest, enraged by the loss of their jobs and damage done to their careers. When I went to cover an assignment anywhere in this town, it was for the people who couldn't be there. I was their eyes along with my fellow coworkers, Scott Stewart, another photographer laid off by the Chicago Sun-Times, told ABC at the protest. Ethical employers and publications value their staff. However, according to the executive director of the Chicago Newspaper Guild, Craig Rosenbaum, an unfair label practice charge would be filed in reaction to the company's announcement. The union is negotiating a new contract, and the company told the union at the bargaining table recently that no layoffs of photographers were planned. The Chicago Sun-Times didn't value their photographers because they let them go illegally, leading to a suit to be filed. The newspaper has decided to replace their high-end quality photojournalists with iPhones and freelance photographers.
The next step is principles, ethical philosophies or rules that can be applied to the situation. The first principle is the second formulation of Kant's categorical imperative. The second formulation reads, "Act in such a way that you always treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never simply as a means, but always at the same time as an end." This means that to treat another human being ethically is to value the individual for who they are and not as a way to serve our needs and desires. This requires the acknowledgement that every person's life is as important to them as yours is to you. The Chicago Sun-Times laid off all these full-time photographers without warning after years of hard work and dedication to the profession of photojournalism. These accomplished and seasoned photojournalists expressed that they were hurt and saddened by these layoffs. The Sun-Times did not seem to consider the amount of hard work that these photojournalists had put into making their publication a better one over the years and treated them as replaceable property. They were treated as means of acquiring quality work for the publication. They were not valued as irreplaceable individuals because of their talent and hardworking nature. The Sun-Times seemed to have valued more efficient budgeting over the careers and unique character of these photojournalists. What was insensitive by the Sun-Times was the lack of warning. These photojournalists were told previously that they would not be losing their jobs, but then were all fired in a very quick meeting that lasted no longer than 20 minutes, according to those in attendance. The second principle is the NPPA Code of Ethics. The National Press Photographers Association Code of Ethics states, "Visual journalists should continuously study their craft and the ethics that guide it." While full-time photojournalists would be able to focus in on their craft and continuously study their profession while gaining years of experience, freelance reporters given the responsibility of photo and video content will likely not be able to keep up with the craft and its ethics nearly as well. These freelancers are primarily reporters and produce editorial content. They are not photojournalism professionals and therefore may not be held or hold themselves to the same professional and ethical standards. The final part of the powder box is loyalties. Who does the decision maker have allegiances to? The first loyalty is that news publications are loyal to the public. They have a responsibility to report and publish facts in the most informative way possible. From the SPJ Code of Ethics, conscientious journalists from all media and specialties strive to serve the public with thoroughness and honesty. The second loyalty is that news publications should be loyal to their staff. They should be clear and concise as to what they want out of their photographers, journalists, and reporters. Their staff is the key component to the publication and organization, and without these people, they would have no stories to put out. The publications would not win awards or gain recognition without a skillful and talented staff of seasoned professionals. With the photographer layoffs, the Chicago Sun-Times was not loyal to their staff. According to photographer Chris Lemkool, "We were told that there wasn't going to be any layoffs of photographers and reporters during the bargaining process. Then last Thursday, all of the photographers were laid off, so it seems like some sort of union-busting thing as well." Another loyalty is that photojournalists are loyal to the public. They make sure to capture images and videos that can tell stories in a more impactful way than words on a newspaper. They make the publications visually appealing and allow readers to gain a sense of the news or the emotions tied to the stories before they read them. According to the NPPA Code of Ethics, the NPPA, a professional society that promotes the highest standards in visual journalism, acknowledges concern for every person's need to both be informed about public events and to be recognized as part of the world in which we live. Conclusion. By using the Potter Box, we have gone through the facts, values, principles, and loyalties to argue that the Chicago Sun-Times photographer layoffs were insensitive and unethical. Through the Chicago Sun-Times, like most major newspapers, was hit hard by shifting technology and budget cuts. It was unethical for the publication to lay off its entire staff of full-time, seasoned photojournalists without notice or compromise. This action made it clear that the Chicago Sun-Times values saving money and cutting positions over their award-winning photojournalists. The facts, values, principles, and loyalties also showed that the publication, through their photojournalist layoffs, has compromised its quality of work by replacing seasoned professionals with freelance reporters equipped with smartphones. The same quality and ethical standards will likely not be able to uphold without professional, experienced photojournalists and quality photo and video equipment.